Hey guys, give me 1 second. I can't see it. I don't know why. Stupid lights. Alright. I think I could see. Alright, give me a moment. I don't even have you guys pulled up yet. Give me 1 second. Alright. I think we're good. Can you guys hear me okay? Boop. Derek, nobody talks to Marissa anymore. Give it up. Hey, Remy. Thanks, Jennifer. What's up, Andrea? Hey, Tina. Wow, that just jumped from like 6 people to 44 in like a second. Let's do this. Hey, Val. Hey, Louie. Hey, Sarah. So tonight's going to be in 2 parts. So I have to go pick up my son at like 10 to 9. So I'm going to cut it and then I'm going to come back at 9:30. But for the most part, what needs to be said is going to be said before that. What's up, Flower from Vegas? Hey, Simply Cynthia. Hey, Sherry. Why does everyone keep saying, let's do this? I guess that could be a catchphrase. Let's do this. Although I think somebody had that already. Because like I've said it in multiple videos, like Scott Reich has this like great, let's talk about it. So we have to do like, I have to come up with something. I was going to say like, let's connect the dots, but I like, let's do it. I know it's connect the dots because I always say it. First time live. Well, welcome, Deb. So I just want to make you guys aware. If you're expecting a rah-rah ZELLNER, you're not going to get it. So I just want to make you guys aware of that. There's a lot of things that I don't like, and I am so disappointed on multiple levels for many reasons. And let's do it. Let's connect the dots. So, Dirk, be nice. All right. So because I'm cutting this short, not cutting this short, but doing this 2 parts, I want to get the bulk of this done before I cut out. And I don't know about you guys, but I am so disappointed in what she filed. And some of it I don't understand. I'm not going to lie. Some of it I really don't get. And I'll explain all that because to me, going on what she said, it doesn't make sense to me. So, thank you, Falcon. I'm kind of thinking the same thing. So Falcon said that it's not really a good thing. I don't totally disagree with that. Most truthers think she proved that Ellie broke the law. No, she didn't. All right. So first I'm going to start with, let's like start at the beginning. First thing I'm going to start with is that there's 2 typos in it. Now, it depends on the appellate court to say whether those typos mean anything. I know some people are laughing about it, saying, oh, it's no big deal, but it is a big deal. Most of the higher courts may not care so much if it's, 1 typo or 2 typos, but they might. And to me, and again, I'm not an attorney, and I know that Supreme Court, okay, everybody makes a mistake. But in my opinion, it's important for an attorney on an appellate level to go through each and every single word to make sure, especially with this case, to make sure every single I is dotted and every single T is crossed. Now, again, I may say that the appellate courts really don't care, blah, blah, blah. But for everything that Zellner has been denied and the way this case has gone, I would think that she would have double checked all of that. Just what I think. So the typos were end, A-N-D, but there was like an extra letter and it happened twice. And I watched some of Irakoze's with the two lawyers. Well, one lawyer and Tracy's like went to law school. And they were laughing about it like it was no big deal. And I think it's a big deal. The Supreme Court may not. So, all right, let me like reword that. The Supreme Court may not think it's a big deal. But with everything that's gone on with Avery case, to me, if you miss a period, it's a big deal. So being that she's always denied and that there's so much corruption, I think she should have gone over it again. So just an opinion. So Zellner, as we all know, made this huge announcement. Hey, Glass Gal, made this huge announcement, which I said was nothing. And I was right. It was nothing. But what I don't understand about it is that she's saying in that big announcement, everybody who understood the law, except for me, said that it was no big deal until she got approval. And I didn't think she was going to get approval. And she didn't get approval. But one of the things that she said distinctly, and I remember this distinctly, she said that she has to file the other motion first. Now, maybe I'm mistaken. Again, let me stress, I'm not an attorney. I know the law, the basics of the law. I understand the law in the basic sense of it. I don't know every single detail about every single state, especially Wisconsin. So let me just stress that. And what bothers me about it is that so many people, told me I was wrong and I was an idiot and I was this and I was that. And meanwhile, I turned out to be right. But on December 31st, and this is like important, she writes on Twitter, cancel parade, all appellate court held was any new DNA testing of MCGP bones has to wait until appeal is over. Of course, AG could agree to testing and join the more progressive prosecutors in the U.S. Okay. So she said this on the 31st of December. We are now in January 25th. On January 24th, she files a motion about the bones. The other appeal never went in. That makes no sense to me. Someone came to me and told me that on Irakoze's, they said that this had to be done first. So again, I'm not an attorney. But according to everything Zellner has said, this was supposed to go after. So if someone can explain to me why this went first when she was denied this, and she was also denied stating that I'm trying to read comments and talk and not lose my place, that she said that she had to file this first. That's someone told me that the lawyers on Irakoze said. So Travis, if you're here, I'd love clarification on this because it doesn't make sense to me. Everything she said was prior. And then all of a sudden this bone thing is filed with nothing else. So she puts in this file. And sadly, she cites case law. Now, let me explain to you what case law is in case you don't know. Case law is written in every single appeal. Some motions use it. Doesn't matter what state or anything. Case law is generally the state had ruled on something in the past. So if, you were filing an appeal on a conviction for jaywalking, you would cite cases in that state to show that the Supreme Court ruled that this person wasn't cited for this and this person wasn't cited for that. And it's all dependent on, like, you find cases from that state and put it in your motion to remind the Supreme Court what they ruled in that case and why. That's what case law is. So in ZELLNER's motion, and I actually looked this up, ZELLNER's motion, now, again, let me stress, I'm not an attorney. I don't know if you can use federal case law for a state case or an appeal. From what I understand, you can use federal law if you're filing a federal case, or you can cite federal law if you're going to the Supreme Court. But I don't know if this was that type of appeal, but again, I'm not an attorney. So I might be wrong on that. But she cited 3 cases. I believe it was 3 cases. None of them were cases that were won. So the Supreme Court did not agree with those cases. Why would you put those in a fucking motion? I mean, an appeal. My mind was rattled. Or I think 2 of them, they didn't win, and 1 of them was won. But why would you put in cases that aren't won? Do you not think the Supreme Court knows what they ruled on? Do you not think the Supreme Court is going to look and see, how did we rule on that? Or do you think they're just going to take your word for it? It just doesn't make sense to me. All right, so Fallon says that my understanding is that the motion will get her past the judge that denies everything with no reason. And I would agree with that if it was a solid motion. This is garbage, like garbage. You're putting in case law that they lost on. I don't get it. I don't understand the point of that. Why would you put in case law that lost? All right, so Cindy says, I was on Iracosa last night. I believe that basically a lawyer stated that, yes, she's doing this, correct the file, a violation of constitutional amendment, blah, blah, blah. This way it delays the briefing for evidence. And Cindy, that might be true. Again, I'm not an attorney. That might be true. But at the same time, she stated whenever she had this big announcement that was nothing, and on the 31st with the tweet that I read, that this other thing needed to be done first. Why did she file this? And not only did she file this, why did she file this with no case law that supports it? Now, there's one of 2 things that can happen. There could be case law that doesn't exist for it. Okay, so if that's the case, and again, this is a personal opinion, if there's no case law that backs it yet, then don't use it. Find something else, that case law that's been won backed. Just my opinion. Speaking of case law, it has no value. And I'm reading from like notes that I took when I was writing all this. I don't get why she used cases from the 80s. Now, if there is a significant life-altering case, and this is what a friend of mine who's an attorney told me, if there's a life-altering case in case law from 1960 and that changed the law, that's when you would use case law that's old. You want to use case law that's new. You want to use case law that's prevalent to today. And if it doesn't exist, then you change your motion to make it exist. Or you change the way you're looking for stuff, and you look for stuff that can match the case law to prove your case to win. So these are like all the things that are bothering me. Now, again, I don't know if I'm 100% correct on this, so don't quote me. But in my opinion, the family has the right to the bones, whether hers or not. The reason is, and this somebody actually told me, the general of it, and I have to agree with it, is that if you had a full body that was murdered, they don't sit in evidence for 10 years. They get buried. So if her family wanted every bone, whether it was hers or not, to me, they had that right. I don't think it's a big deal that they have the bones. All right, so Fallon says the bones were returned to the family through a funeral home, so the bones were likely pulverized. Therefore, no DNA existed. The bones should have been not returned to the family. See, I think the bones should have been returned to the family, no different than a body gets returned. If there's a murder, then I'm going to get to that, Cindy, because I don't agree with that conviction overturned. And I'll tell you why. I get to that later. If you have a murdered body, am I like too loud? I always talk loud. My microphone's like so close. If you have a body and someone gets murdered, raped, killed, whatever, doesn't matter what it is, you give the family the body and you bury it. You take what you need from it, you have testing on it, and then the person gets buried. To me, and this is, again, just an opinion, the bones are no different than a body. So if you are if you have the bones, it's just like having a body. Actually, a body you'd have a hell of a lot more evidence from. So, and you would bury the body. So I don't really see, shut up, Dirk. I don't really see why the bones going out are so important. So to back this theory, I did some research. And this is actually very interesting research. Is that as of 2000, let me find it in my notes so I don't mess it up. So according to Wisconsin law, they're not allowed to give the bone things is not true. There's no law that states they couldn't give the bones. From what I understand, from the way I heard it, is that there is, and I looked it up. I don't remember. I'm not going to quote you things because I really don't remember it. But after I was told this, I went and looked it up. And it seems that ZELLNER used the second half of the, the second half of the law. But in all reality, in a totality of that law, there's no law that they broke. They were allowed to give the bones to the family. I'm assuming, the same way that you can give a body to the family. They have tests, they have everything they needed off the bones. The whole writing a letter thing, now this I did catch on Irakosi, is that, and then I turned it off because I had to leave, but she was saying something about that Tracy asked Steven, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Not for nothing, and don't hate me for this, but it's not like Steven doesn't lie. It's not like Steven's never lied before, or Steven's going to say, yeah, they sent me a letter. All the state has to do is prove an envelope that it was sent. That's all they have to do. So, and then Steven looks like a liar. So, as much as I want to believe him, and I don't doubt him, but for all we know, it was in a letter that Kratz sent him. I mean, we have no idea. And Ben, stop. You keep throwing me off. So Fallon says, understand bones. However, it was a pizza box of commingled bones with other bones. And Fallon, I agree with you. But my point is, if the victim's family wanted the bones, no matter what they were, to me, they kind of had a right to them. So let me just shut my door. All right. So to me, they kind of had a right to those bones because it was her family. Despite what they said, about ZELLNER, and despite what they said about the bones being deer or not, my whole thing is off tonight because I'm worried about time. Usually I'm not worried about time. And I'm I keep fucking up. So, all right. So let me try to get smooth again. Have a drink. All right. Deep breath. If I don't finish, I'll finish later. So it's just that it just annoys me that Zellner is picking things out of a law. She's not giving the whole story to us. That's a big turnoff to me. That tells me that she's hiding something, or she's just the worst attorney ever. We all know she's definitely not the worst attorney ever. She's a damn good attorney who's great at what she does. But something is not right. I can't put my finger on it. I can't definitively say what it is. And you have to excuse me 1 second. I'm going to scream at my daughter to get Fluffernutter. Sage! Sorry about that. I have no mute on here with the microphone. And so it just seems to me that something's missing. I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it. This motion does not excite me at all. This motion might have been okay if everything was laid out properly. Nothing is laid out. I think she's going to get denied. I am 90% positive she's going to get denied. And let me tell you, I hope I'm wrong. I truly hope I'm wrong. But I don't think I am. There's no substance in this. She's trying to fight a corrupt system without dotting every I and crossing every T. And this has gone on for 2.5 years already. So again, like I said, this is definitely not a pro rah-rah ZELLNER, because I think the motion is garbage. If there were points in it, like if the case law backed it, or if there was recent case law, if it was stuff like that, I would totally get it. But it's not. She has bad case law. She has typos. She has, she's trying to prove something in a law that doesn't exist. And it doesn't really exist because there's no case law for it. And granted, most people probably gave her the information. Not the information. Hold on. This dog is driving me nuts. Sage! Never let your kids have doors closed, ever. And on the other side of the house, they can't even hear you. All right. Again. Hi, James. James, it's been a while since you've been here. Okay. So again, I'm so sorry for like the scatterbrain. I feel like I'm blonde right now because I'm like all over the place. Plus my kid, it has his door shut and I can't hear, and I got Winston barking, which totally throwing me off. So now that she took care of Winston and I'm calm, if Laura would read what I wrote, she could save a lot of time. Shut up. All right. So Ding Dong says she referenced a case law only to show the DNA evidence is fragile and should be respected and to get Stephen's rights. Ding Dong, I don't disagree with that, but this is a trial against a corrupt court. You can't, like, it's almost like she thinks she's so much smarter than the Supreme Court, and she very well might be, but she might not be. And I feel like, I hate to say this, and I'm not trying to everyone to hate me, but I almost feel like this is like narcissism 101. Like, I'm better. I'm going to cite case law that wasn't won, and they're not going to notice. I mean, that's what I feel like. And I hate to say it. I'm not going to lie. I hate to say it. I hate this feeling. But something just isn't right. I can't. I don't know. I don't want to. I just don't know. Just something isn't right. She's backpedaling. Thank you, Cindy. That's one way to put it. Yeah, guys, come on, help me here because I don't want to look like the bad one. Boo-boo. Could do more harm than good. That's possible, Geraldine. And all right, since the guilters are agreeing with me, let me stay. I'm still not a guilter. I still don't think they're guilty. I think they are completely innocent. So everything I'm saying has nothing to do with the guilt or innocent. I'm certainly not a guilter. No matter who I have on here, no matter what I've read, I still believe in my heart of hearts that they are 100% innocent. So I want to stress that. I have a really hard time with this. I wanted, like, one of her motions, I don't remember which one it was. One of her motions was so solid and so good that I was like, wow, this is great. Every I was dotted, every T was crossed. It was a great motion. I don't remember which one it was. It was probably I think it was number 3. And I was so impressed by it. I was like, wow, this is Zellner. This is what I know. And I'm not seeing that now. I am seeing garbage. Another misconception that people have asked me privately, I won't say names, Brady, but I won't say names, but a lot of people have asked me, Stephen and Brendan. Stephen and Brendan were not co-defendants. Stephen and Brendan are best example I can say are having twins. I have fraternal twins. They're a boy and a girl. The only thing that makes them twins is that they were born at the same time. But they are different sexes. They have different genes. But I was pregnant at the same time with them. It's the same thing with Brendan and Stephen. Kind of look at them like twins. They both had the same murder, but they were both convicted of completely separate things, completely separate trials. They were not co-defendants. They did not speak at each other's trials. They were completely separate, like a boy and a girl, twins. They were completely separate. So anything Zellner does, can it have an effect on Brendan? It can. I mean, if Stephen's proven innocent, obviously Brendan's innocent. If Brendan's proven innocent, doesn't necessarily mean Stephen's proven innocent. So that's where the trial really makes a difference. And I am just, Bobby's very suspect. But I'm just very disappointed with this motion. And I still have absolutely no clue why this was filed first. And because I don't know why it was filed first, I also feel like that people who are rah-rah Zellner are selling pipe dreams. And I really believe that. It's like they don't want anybody to know that Zellner's fucked up. Kind of like her big announcement. I am hoping with everything that I have that I am dead ass wrong. I am hoping with everything I have that she proves me completely wrong. This gets approved and, we're on our way to freedom. That would be the greatest thing ever, and I will be happy to eat my words. It wouldn't give me any more pleasure to say, guys, I was 100% wrong. She kicked ass. I was totally wrong in general, and now she won, and they're getting out. Nothing would make me happier. On the flip side, what I didn't like as well is that, as I said before, what happened to the appeal that had to be filed before her big announcement? What happened to the appeal that was due February 1st? She's not filing anything February 1st. This was it. I didn't have a chance to pull it up because I had to drive my son. But it almost felt like, where is the motion that you were denied for this testing? Where's that motion? If anyone can tell me, that would be awesome. I would love to hear where that motion is. Yeah, this is gonna, well, I still have time. I still have 45 minutes. Nothing has changed. let me look at the comment. Maybe you guys have given me an answer. All right. So Deborah says this is filed first because if she is denied this, then this can be placed in with the appeal she was to file. Okay, Deborah, I'm not saying you're wrong. So let's go with you're right. But on December 31st, the appeal court told her that she has to finish the appeal first. So what is this? And she not only was denied for this to happen originally. Now, this is where my memory's good, though. That the Supreme Court told her in a matter of hours that this whole bone testing thing was denied and that she needed to finish the other appeal first. That is why I believe this is going to get denied. And they gave her till the 1st to file the other appeal, which is supposed to be all this old stuff. So her filing this first makes absolutely no sense to me. Yeah, I have to leave at like 8:45. That's what I'm saying. I have like 45 minutes left. Rob, any drama is tomorrow night, not tonight. But I did catch it and I thank you. Tomorrow is all that. And all right, so Fox said, if you read between the lines of their response, you could see they're running out of patience, ZELLNER, in the games. And I kind of feel like that, Falcon. I really do. Because to me, and again, let me stress, I should put a thing up. I am not an attorney. I am just logically, just logically, they told her, do not do the bones before you do the appeal. Why is she doing the bones before you do the appeal? I know that rah-rah ZELLNER people think that there's some big picture. There's no big picture. It's just not. And it burns me that this is, like, I want to believe in her so bad, and I can't. I just can't, and it bothers me that I can't. Nicole said, I thought I said, is this what I think it is? Is what way you think it is? She has to make something stick quick. But on the fence, I agree with you. But this isn't it. Because, again, there's no case law to back this up. She took half of a law that doesn't exist. Well, half a law exists. But she took the second half of the law and not the whole law. To me, that's kind of shady. Find a law that it matches. From what I understand and what I read, and again, I don't remember what law it was, what the actual code was, because I didn't write it down. I just kind of Googled it real fast. But according to the case law, the state did nothing wrong. They gave Teresa's family the bones they had every right to. They've already gotten the testing and everything else from the bones. No different than a body being buried. So, there's a lot of little things like that just don't add up, and it doesn't make sense. Nicola, nothing good happened, unfortunately. James, do you ever get anywhere? James says, before I go to bed at night, every night I ask Teresa to tell me what happened to her and who did it. Sounds silly, but I do it every night. James, when she answers, let me know. Ding dong, I would love to stay at strategy, but it's not a strategy when you keep getting denied, and it's definitely not a strategy when you're using case law that doesn't exist, or a case law that was denied. I know that every appeal, and I know this from my own, studies, in every appeal you have to have case law. You can't do it without case law. But as an attorney, especially as good of an attorney as she is, I would think that she would have tried to reword it to make it match case law that is undeniable. How she would do that with something like this, maybe just take a little time and figure it out. Not use case law that's bad. Case law that lost, you might as well not have any. Unless you're so narcissistic that you believe that you can get around the Supreme Court that they're not going to look. That's ludicrous. It's absolutely ludicrous to think that. And I'm not saying she does. I'm saying that if she did, it's ludicrous. Like, you just can't. And that's another thing. Falcon's got a really good point that I even asked a lot of attorneys that I know, and they all told me never. Look how fast they gave her an answer last time. They gave her an answer in like an hour. That's like unheard of from an appellate court. But they're just so done with her not filing what they're asking her to file. And she's done this over and over and over. You know, I have two theories on it. Is she doing this because he's really guilty and she's just trying to weasel around it? Or is she doing this because her brain is scattered and she's got 15 assistants actually doing it? I'm going to kill this dog. Sorry, guys. Momentary lapse. I didn't know my daughter was sleeping. The dog was like barking. So my apologies. Do denials from the court give more time? What do you mean denials from the court? No, you know what it was? Fluffing out about it was outside my daughter's door, crying. I didn't know she was sleeping. So I opened the door and just threw him on the bed. All right, so the court has already as much as said that it doesn't matter what the testing would have yielded. It's a non-starter. I totally agree. The court basically said it's pointless. And the court said that because of she did not need... Like, these bones, she made a big deal. They were never a big deal. It's just like the smoke and mirrors, honestly, because she wants everyone to believe that every little thing is a big deal, and so far nothing has been a big deal. And it's frustrating. Really frustrating. So let me see what I missed when I was gone. She has the same judge who immediately denies. Exactly. I think that's like the only judge there at the moment. I don't know. The DNA doesn't match and it's thrown out immediately. No need for appeals. But Cop Block, they have to test it. They're not testing it. They're not going to allow her to test it because the family has it. They're not going to force the family to give back the bones. If the state or somebody failed to get all the tests they need out of it, it's like I forgot the word, exhumer. It's like digging up a dead body. You're not going to dig up a dead body, and you're not going to ask a family to dig up a dead body. It's a ludicrous point. If they still had it in there, if they still had it, then fine. Great, they have it. But that's not what's happening. The family already has it. She was probably cremated, buried, whatever. They're not going to force the family to dig up the bones. So the whole DNA is not true. Then you add on, that, hold on. Greg says she's asking for delay in her appeal with an issue that has nothing to do with the appeal. Thank you, Greg. That's what I'm saying. Greg worded that beautifully. And because my brain is scattered, I didn't get it. But he's 100% right. She's asking for a delay on her appeal with an issue that has nothing to do with the appeal that they've already denied. This is going to get denied too. There's no reason they would accept it. Exhume. Thanks, Nicole. I really don't know why I'm so scatterbrained. Probably because I haven't eaten. It's like 8 o'clock this morning. The bones determined to be TH were not found in a burn area. So how could they exculpatory is beyond my understanding. I'll agree with that. He's been charged with criminal vehicular manslaughter, homicide, and his blood test came back positive for being impaired. There has been nothing but continuances. Who are you talking about? What about the supposed animal bones they gave to family? L. Grace, my theory on that is, even though, like, all right, they said that it might be human, it might not be. If that was your daughter, wouldn't you want them anyway? I would. Like, I would, if only certain bones were found or if it was ashes, I would want every bone. I don't care if it's her or not. You know, so I get that from a family perspective, 100%. They do dig up the bones and remains at times. Yes, they might, but not a defense attorney. A defense attorney does not have the right to dig up bones if the family disagrees. I mean, hell, you don't even have to take a bar exam to be an attorney in Wisconsin. You really think a defense attorney is going to have that right to dig up the plaintiff, the bones? Never happened. Mary Lee, I would love Laura to cover what? Oh, that was the one I just read that I didn't know what case it was. Mary, I would definitely talk about it. We could, you know what? We could talk about that in my second half tonight after I pick up my son and get something to eat. Oh, I'm so sorry. But yeah, we can definitely do that in the second half of this. And I see that I'm losing people like watching, and I can't not be true to myself. And I'm not excited about this motion. I think this motion is a fucking joke. I think it's totally going to get denied. I think it is absolutely so narcissistically written and is pointless. And that's honestly, I can't sit here and be rah-rah over this because I'm so not rah-rah over it. I think it's pathetic. So with that said, as my watchers just dropped by 10, no, I'm just kidding. I have to be honest with you guys. I have to be true to myself. And I have to be true to you guys. Another thing I picked up was like I didn't really go through everything in the motion because it was all centered around the bones. That's it. And I just kept going back to her tweet and her announcement and the Supreme Court's ruling about file the appeal first. I again, and I know I said this before, but I'm going to rail it in. She said when she made the big announcement that not only are they going to give her testing, but they're also going to, that she's going to have to file the appeal first. And the bone stuff is new, but the other stuff is stuff from 2011 and 2012. And that needs to be filed first, and then they can do the bones. She said this. Allie agrees with me. Really? She said this so much, and I don't get how she's filed this. I'm stumped on this. I'm honestly, truly stumped. I just don't get it. Ra was the sun god. And Dirk's lying. Allie's very rah-rah. I mean, I don't know. I haven't spoken to her lately, but I know she is rah-rah. Thanks, Letha. Might be pointless, but she ain't giving up. Lisa, and I don't want her to give up, but when it's almost like filing too many bad things. If you file too much, like the Supreme Court has already given her a list of rules. And then when she loses, then it's going to look like, oh, it's a conspiracy with the Supreme Court. No, this is a problem with ZELLNER. ZELLNER is filing the wrong things. Why? I don't know. She's smart enough to file the right things. And, have I lost faith? No. Maybe a little. All right, I'll be honest. Yes, I've lost faith. Not all of it, but about 50%. I don't see this happening. I just don't. I think there's so many fucking mistakes that she's made that are stupid mistakes. Like, stupid. Not the typos or anything, but stupid mistakes like not thinking how to make this case law tailored to what I need it to be. How do I tailor this to match it to the most undeniable case law that I can find? Why doesn't she think like that? She should be thinking like that. Do you think TH family believes Steven killed her? Oh, absolutely, Lisa. 100%. Nicole, I just kind of answered that. Like, she needs to be... Missy, I'm sorry, I don't believe that. I don't believe she's doing all she can. I think that she needed to do what I just said. If there's no case law to back this up, then alter it. You can't alter the law, but you can alter what you're asking for. I mean, that's like lawyer 101. You alter what you're looking, you reword something. Do you need like time and intelligence to do it? Yeah, but she has that. You alter it to make it fit the case law. And the case law should be undeniably one. Like you find the life altering case law that matches somewhat to this, and then you alter this a little. To me, that's what a good lawyer does. I have to listen out. I feel like TH family is going to explode at Wisconsin. I don't know. Maybe she's trying to annoy them enough so they give her no trial. No, they'll shut her down. They'll completely shut her down. The whole investigation is a world mess. I agree, Cindy. It is. But I definitely don't think that they're going to... that they're going to all of a sudden, give her a new trial for this. And that was the other thing I was going to cover. For some reason, I guess I didn't write it down. I thought I did. It was about something being overturned. Maybe I wrote it with the Brendan stuff. I just feel like she didn't seek out the right cases to use case law. Like everything may have been rushed. I don't know. I already covered that. Okay. So I do want to repeat her tweet for newcomers. All appellate court held, and this was after she was denied, was that any new DNA testing of bones has to wait until appeal is over. Of course, AG could agree to testing to join the more progressive prosecutors, but they didn't. If you said 3 weeks ago that the Supreme Court, appellate court that you just filed this with, stated that any new DNA testing has to be done prior, why did you just file this about DNA testing the bones? So for newcomers in here, if anyone has this answer, I would love to hear it. Wag the dog. ZELLNER is not doing enough. Then explain what you think the theory it all about. Thought I made some good points, but you didn't read them. I didn't. RHWM? Is that read them? I don't know. She can't test the bones. No bones to test. Agreed. We've got an alternative called Dirk Diggler here now. From now I understand. Thank you, Laura. Oh, you're welcome. No, I don't think she wants out of the case. I just think it's ridiculous. Even if there are no bones to test, let's go back to ZELLNER's theory. She is supposed to be working on this big appeal, which she had till February 4th, and nothing's been done. All right, but I'm going to even skip that one. She's trying to get the state, this whole motion, let me rephrase this. This whole motion is based upon the state breaking the law for giving the bond. Like, I'm summarizing, I'm not an attorney, I'm just summarizing everything. This whole entire thing that she filed is based on the notion that the state did something illegal by giving the family the bones when they had no right to. That's what this whole thing is based on. But here's a newsflash. There is no fucking law to back that up. It is not illegal what Wisconsin did. According to the law, it's sketchy law, but it's still there. It doesn't exist the way she wants it to exist. There is nothing stopping the state from giving the family the family. The state, because they're obviously smarter in a lot of ways, can easily turn around and say, hey, you know what? We have everything we need from the bones. She doesn't need more bones. We've already have all the DNA tests in preservation. We already have everything that was compiled from that. We already have the cells put in whatever. They don't need the actual bones. As long as they have, however they test. I don't know how labs test. But as long as they have the DNA from it to determine, hey, you know what? It might be this, it might be that. Then that's fine. That's all they need. They didn't throw that out. So as long as the state states that they have that, ZELLNER can't do anything. Several messages about the 14th Amendment. I have no idea. This is not about testing the bones. It's about civil rights being violated, which would immediately... Okay. What I'm saying is, the civil rights being violated, according to the law, they didn't violate anything. That's what I'm trying to tell you. There is no law stating that they could not give the bones to the family. It's not there. There is about preservation of, the DNA and stuff. All the state has to do is prove that the DNA, they still have it, and they still have those slides and the, micro slides that they look under a microscope to find out that it may be bones, it may not. If they have those, they don't need the bones. And they don't need to prove the bones because they didn't get rid of the actual evidence. Again, I go back to, it's like a body. You don't ask somebody to keep a body around for 7 years or 10 years. You bury it. As long as you have all the testing from that body, you don't keep the body. It's the same thing. Sydney, I didn't listen last night. I heard about 10 minutes of it, and then I got caught up in life, and I literally heard like 10 minutes of it, and I kind of skipped around. Like, someone told me what to listen to, and I disagree with all the generalizations. I know that they're very rah-rah ZELLNER. I'm not. I disagree with many of the points in the same respect that Travis called me an idiot for saying that ZELLNER's big announcement meant shit. And we actually had a big tiff over it. Meanwhile, I was right, he was wrong. So, I don't think just because someone is an attorney, they have the answers. Now, does he know how to explain stuff about the law better than I do? Hell yeah. He studied it. He went to a great school, too. He knows the law. So I would never try to get into the details of, this, and this. But the overall stuff, yeah, I'm pretty good at it. And I'm sorry, but there's nothing about this entire motion that excites me in any which way, shape, or form. I think it's total crap. And there is no way that the Supreme Court, after they told her not to file this, is going to all of a sudden turn over his conviction and he's going to walk out. That is selling somebody on a pipe dream, especially in the state of Wisconsin. It's never going to happen. Yeah, I have 20 minutes left. Um, Read this. It's a fact. These people keep talking about rights. You don't have rights when you're in prison. You don't have rights when you're. I mean, you do have some rights in prison, but you really don't have rights in prison. Um, Travis went off on me last night. He's not as nice people seem to think. I'm not downing Travis. I mean, me and Travis got through our little tiff, but I just really wanted to make that point that just because somebody knows the law doesn't mean they see the big picture. I've studied every aspect of this case. I may not know the law, in detail because I'm not a lawyer. I never studied it. Like criminal law, I've never studied. But all laws generally the same in every state in an overall perspective, not in a, detailed perspective. But, I was literally called a fucking idiot for not knowing what, for saying that Zellner's big announcement was garbage. And someone pointed out to me that he announced that he thought he was right and he was dead wrong. I respect that he said that. So I'm just saying that don't all of a sudden assume because somebody's an attorney, everything they say is dead on, because it's not. That's my point. Is there any chance that Zellner made a simple mistake for her to show that what she files is not being looked at properly before a decision is made? Amory, possibly. I mean, I could say that would be right if the Supreme Court had not denied her last motion that said you have to finish the appeal first. How this was just thrown in there doesn't make sense to me. Travis being a defense attorney, Falcon, you were being the judge, jury, and prosecution. I was on the entire show. I learned a lot. Sydney, and that's what I'm saying. You will learn a lot from Travis. He's very, very good with details and understanding the law. I mean, obviously, he's an attorney. So that part I get. Essential, there are 3 places where the bones were found. Sounds to me like it was a well-planned murder. Look, he couldn't have killed her. She went to her next appointment. She talked to Zipper's wife. Wait, BZ was recovered from. Tony, what do you mean? Supreme Court didn't deny anything. Supreme Court denied her last motion. And she stated it. So Zellner has not gotten anything yet. Nothing. She has not gotten approval for anything. Let's keep that in mind. It's just prisoners don't deserve same rights. Well, Vicky, kind of, sort of, not really. They do to a point. There are certain things about them that, they do have fundamental rights, but they don't have rights like somebody on the outside. But they do get fundamental rights. You mean Wisconsin? That's the only place she's ever filed, Gavin, was Wisconsin Supreme Court. KZ has gotten media fame, the only thing she really wants. Greg, I don't so agree with that because, like I've said before, she's a big attorney. She didn't need the media fame. She doesn't need to waste her time on it. She's retiring soon. It's not like, she's 25-year-old attorney. So that part I disagree with. Gavin, I don't need to say Wisconsin. You want to know why? Because most people that are in here fully know that I'm talking about Wisconsin because they know the case enough that, guess what? She's only filed in Wisconsin. So, because I know you're a troll, I'm removing you. Have a wonderful day. Innocent prisoners deserve to be proved innocent if they are. Absolutely, I agree with you. She chases these cases to right wrong. The bigger, the better. But that's what I'm saying. I am so not like worried like that she did this for, the fame. To me that's garbage. She's too established of an attorney. That's the one thing I never thought was like accurate. I thought she had to finish this appeal first before she can file a test, and that's exactly what I'm saying. Jennifer, that's my whole point. That's exactly what I've been saying. It doesn't make sense that she filed this out of nowhere. Retired CO in my home, and prisoners are also human beings. They still have rights, if not more rights than the outside. Trust me. To a point. Could she have just screwed up? Geraldine, I don't know if she could have screwed up. I don't think she would put anything in that, like, bad of a light. But I would love to know why she did this. And not a rah-rah ZELLNER because she could do no wrong. Because she's done a lot of wrong. She's made a lot of stupid mistakes that there's no reason for. She filed a 2017 appeal to have the talking points for MAM2. It's her fatal error. I don't know, Greg. I can't say I disagree anymore. Appeals court, not Supreme Court. But it's the Wisconsin Supreme Court is the appeals court. Am I getting personal? What do you mean, am I getting personal? Except they have to stay in line, eat what they're told, 23-hour lockdown. Other than that is like being out here. If the state doesn't have DNA from bones, did they violate preservation statute? They did not. If, yes, then I believe they would have violated it. But she didn't say that. She's talking about the bones. From what I understand, Missy, Karen, everybody, stop. Please, Missy, stop. The way I see it and the way I understand is the state has to have that DNA. And if they don't, yes, they're in trouble. But she's not asking for that DNA. She's asking for the bones. Or saying that the bones, and I'll double check the motion, but she's saying the bones were given to the family. Not that the DNA was given to the family or that the DNA was ever thrown out. So that could be a fatal error on her part. I'll definitely double check that and I'll let you know second half of this. See, I agree with that too. Falcon's right that even if they did violate it, it is a violation, but it's not a get out of jail free card. They're not going to just overturn his conviction. Look what happened with Brendan. Everyone thinks they're going to overturn the conviction and he's going to walk. We saw Brendan's get overturned. Brendan's still sitting in jail. Having your daughter call you frantic and say the FBI took daddy out of the house. Inmates stated guards were having pedos murdered. They swept our country of COs and one inmate state. Okay. Just live your life. It's just sad for real. I agree with you. It is sad. Bones are given to the family, denying her a chance to test them. Ziggy, again, the law states, just going by the law states they were allowed to give the bones to the family. There's no law that states they're not allowed. The second half of the law says that they have to be in preservation or whatever. As long as they still have those DNA slides and everything from the bones, they did nothing wrong. The only test of BZ is no definitive 100% match to TH. I agree with you. In any case, the state would appeal it in a heartbeat and crush ZELLNER like a beer can. I don't know if they crush it like a beer can, but of course they're gonna fight it. Um, yeah. Carpet diem. I'm not sure. Honestly, I can't say yes and I can't say no because I'm not 100% sure. I kind of think, Peg, according to the law at hand, they don't need to. They didn't need to contact Steven to give the bones to the family. The only time they would have had to contact Steven is if they got rid of the DNA slides or everything they tested. They got rid of the actual evidence. The bones, it could be evidence, but they needed to already extract the DNA from the evidence. They already needed to extract what they needed from the bones to test them. The actual bones they don't need. They need the testing from the bones that was already done. Here's another thing that's bothering me. Why hasn't she filed a motion for the RAV4 yet? She still hasn't had keys to the RAV4. She has not even looked inside the RAV4. So why isn't she worried about that? What is she waiting for about that? So they definitely made these slides, Laura. Mama said, I'm not saying they did or they didn't, but they had to have when they originally tested. You can't put a bone under a microscope. You pull stuff off of the bone and you put it in the microscope. If they got rid of those slides, then you're going to see then this motion comes into play. But she didn't file for the slides or anything else. She just filed for the bones. From what I heard, they didn't give SA attorney to file an appeal back in 2011. No, he had an appeal. Not all the bones were tested for DNA, so no, it wasn't preserved. Biological evidence was to be kept. Deborah, I've heard that and I've argued this before, and I agree with you. But once again, if you have a body, of course a body's going to have evidence, but you don't keep a body around for 10 years or 11 years. You give it to the family to bury. It's just such a strong point that if someone has a body, of course there's evidence on a body. Well, you can always find the evidence on a body. So if you have the evidence on the body, you just give it to the family and you take everything you need off of that body before you give it to the family. To me, that's, if they didn't do that, then yeah, they should be in trouble, but that's going to require another motion. There was unidentified male blood on the bones that couldn't be tested at the time. Maria, to be honest with you, unidentified male blood kind of scares me when you think about his finger was bleeding. To me, that would be better. There wasn't DNA slides on the bones. They had to have done some kind of test to prove that the bones may have been human or may not. They had to have some kind of test, especially, 11 years ago. They didn't stick a bone under a microscope. They took stuff from the bone and put it under the microscope. If you have a body of a million pictures, check fingernails and everything else, whoever suspects something was missing, the body can be exhumed. The body can be exhumed. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I honestly don't know. But as far as I know, the body can be exhumed from the prosecution. The defense cannot force a family to exhume a body from a defense side if they're the other side. I might be wrong, though. Thank you, Jennifer. She's not allowed to do any other testing like the RAV4. All right, so, Deborah, let's go with that. Okay, I am totally going to go with that. But, Ziggy, that's also a guess. We don't know that. And ZELLNER has, how do I say this? Not that she has no right, but you can't say how much DNA was needed because they were convicted with this DNA. I'm not going to say this right. I don't know how to say it right. But Zellner comes in 10 years later. They've already been denied appeals. You know, I'm pretty positive that between the law stating that there is no law for it and them, you know, all right, let me rephrase this. There's legally and then there's logically. Legally and logically do not coincide with each other when it comes to court. They are two totally separate things. Legally, they did nothing wrong. Logically, they did. The reason why they didn't do anything wrong legally is because there is nothing in the courts that say, nothing in the case law that says they couldn't give the family the bones. It is kind of sketchy by saying that, you know, they have to preserve all the DNA. But that's the second half of this law. I'll pull it up. That's the second half of this law, that you have to, you know, preserve it or whatever. As long as the state can prove that they preserve DNA from the bones, then legally, there's nothing Zellner can do. Legally. I'm not saying all legal laws make sense. I'm telling you, but legally and logically are two totally separate things. I try and like Hillegas and Michael, each other. Seeking that is incorrect. The 7 loci match TH. Yeah, the 7 loci did match TH. Her cousin wasn't related through blood. She was loyal through marriage. Heard that she didn't even know that the bones were given back to the family. That was in a brief. I heard that. Hey, yeah. You did make it. I'm actually leaving in 5 minutes, and then I'll be back. You may not be a lawyer, but you're very intelligent and very well informed. So thank you, Geraldine. I appreciate that. Laura's on Central Time. The DNA from BZ did not give a full profile. It was from a female. Okay, but one thing you guys are so forgetting, is that they were convicted on this. It's so hard to overturn a conviction. Everyone thinks that it's one thing that's going to overturn it. It's not. There is so many, it's like an eclipse. Everything has to line up perfectly. And you can't sit here and say that, you know, this, and this, because legally it doesn't exist. And, you know, I keep seeing logic come at me. I keep seeing you guys are writing logic, and I agree with you 100% in logic, but it's not logic. This is law, and they were convicted based on this evidence. They were convicted based on, you know, what was at trial. The Supreme Court can't write new laws. They're not going to change anything. The Supreme Court, when I say Supreme Court, I mean appellate court. Appellate court is the Supreme Court in Wisconsin. They don't have 5 levels. But the appellate court can only go by what was in trial. Therefore, if Zellner is saying that, so if they're looking at this, the DNA that they have is more than enough because they were convicted. The appellate court's job is not to come up with all these new things in a law. Zellner, an appellate court's job is to see what was done at trial and see if Zellner can come up with a way to prove that what was at trial was an error in law, or that there were mistakes made, or, you know, there was fraudulent activity, or the judge, you know, was stoned. That is what an appeal is. An appeal is not for filing all these new things. That's why she keeps getting denied. She hasn't found anything that's stuck to the wall yet. And the biggest misconception is that with her filing all these new things, the Supreme Court's going to listen. Supreme Court doesn't want to hear it. First, they want to hear, and they've stated this, the first thing that they care about is making sure, thank you, Shauna, I'll be back in a half hour. The first thing that they want to make sure of is that There were no errors in law in the first trial. There were no, errors in law by the judge. She hasn't been able to prove that yet because according to paper, and again, legal and logical, according to the papers, they did nothing wrong. Everything looks legit on paper, which is why Kratz was so convinced that this is cake. Nothing's going to happen. This is easy. And that's the problem. So once everybody stops thinking logically and looks legally and sees the difference, you're going to see things the way I do. I promise you. So I have like 2 minutes. Any question? Have we talked about the non-preserving the evidence yet? That was an emotion. Yes. Yeah, I talked about it nonstop. There's nothing in the law that says they could not give it to the family. I don't know the law in Wisconsin to say, hold on, I may see this wrong, but if I was the victim's family, I honestly thought that they were guilty. I would let them test whatever they wanted. I would want to make damn sure I got everyone involved. And again, Christy, logically, I agree with you, but you may not. Greg, I would never, ever, ever do that. Ever. And that's why I said, I see who's watching. I see I'm losing people with certain things that I say, but I got to stay true to myself. But for the guilters in here, I still know that they're innocent. Whether I think Zellner's proving her thing or not, I can't help that. But I still know they're innocent. I wonder if Sweaty is slipping on the couch tonight or if he's in the fetal position on the bed with Leah holding him. He's probably slipping off the couch. I would definitely say he's slipping off the couch. I do always stay true to myself, and I will not bend to get subscribers, or to get video views, or I just won't do it. I have to stay true to me. And it's what I've always done, and especially with this case. I have to stay true to me with any case that I cover, but I've covered this one more than anything, and I know this case inside and out. I have to. Greg, I absolutely think he's innocent. It doesn't matter what's proven. It doesn't matter what the state, where it goes from here. I have studied so much of this case for years already. Except for what was said at trial, because I can't remember the trials. But I read every single piece of document. I connected every single dot. And I promise you, in my heart of hearts, they are innocent. I think Kratz convinced the Hallbacks. Oh, I think Kratz was convinced, though. I don't think it was, just Kratz. I think a lot of them were convinced. And they believed that Avery was guilty. So because Avery was guilty, they convicted him. That's just what happens. Laura thinks Biffy or someone is the doer? What? So you have enough evidence to say someone else killed TH? Do I have enough evidence? I'm not there. I can only say what I said 2.5 years ago, and that I strongly believe Bobby and Scott were guilty. Are guilty. I said this 2.5 years ago, long before Zellner. I said it even before Zellner came in the picture. So yes, I believe that there's enough things that if I was on a jury, I would definitely say that Bobby is guilty. I can't say so much for Scott. Scott's lies, but there are so many things that point to Bobby. Actually, you want to know something, Dirk? You can ask certain people. My gut has been right and I don't mean on this case. I'm talking about people and other cases. When I get a gut feeling, I'm usually right. Very, very, not too often am I wrong about reading people, and I really think Bobby's guilty. Mike, I absolutely never thought that Mike killed his own sister, ever. Hillegas, maybe, possibly, but definitely not. Definitely not Mike. Is Barb covering for Bobby? Absolutely. My theory, I'm going to end with this. I'll be back at 9:30 or a quarter to 10. I'll say 9:45. My feeling is that Barb sold her one son for her other son. I also think that everybody told Brendan he wouldn't get life. He'd be tried as a juvenile. He'll be 2 years and he'll get out. That's what I think. How that conversation transpired, how any of that took place, I don't know. But my gut tells me, again, yes, Dirk, my gut tells me that Scott or somebody convinced him that he'd be out in 2 years. He'd be tried as a juvenile. Just do 2 years. You're out. You're free. Blah, blah, blah. And, oh, okay. And that's why. That's why Brendan took the hit. And, a lot of people have said, like, well, how come Brendan wouldn't, say anything now? How come Brendan wouldn't? Because where's he going to go? If he rats on Scott or Bobby, what does he have? Where's he going to go? Granted, I know a lot of people would say, oh, I'll take him in. But, I mean, would you really? He still would be on parole. There's just a lot of things to consider, So, on that note, I'm going to shut this down now. For anyone who came late, you can watch the whole thing. Again, if you're a rah-rah ZELLNER, you're not going to like it. So, go ahead and check this out. I'll be back in about 45 minutes. So I'll set it for like 9:45. And then we can discuss other things. Sandra Melgar, I'm not even familiar with the case. I just have to go around the corner. He's at a birthday party. A girl's birthday party. So, I want to thank you guys for everyone that was here. Cindy, we'll talk about it after. I want to thank everyone. My name is Perplex QT. Remember, by the way, if you're not coming back, tomorrow night is Drama 101 because I'm tired of my name getting smeared from this particular person. So tomorrow it's all about drama. But I will be back at 9:45 to discuss this even more. And if anyone can get like more information on why she filed this first from a non-rah-rah ZELLNER, I would love to hear it. All right? So I'll be back in 45 minutes. Big cat fight. Love you guys too. I'll be back in 45. Hopefully you guys will all come back and visit me. I know Dirk will be here. So I hope you guys come back and I'll see you guys at 9:45. 9:45 Central Time.